Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today with Brandon.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about games and things.
Yeah, today's going to be a discussion episode. We actually first started talking about it before the recording button was pressed. Well, technically not, but anyway, before we did our intros. And now we're going to get right into it because I found a video called the 10 Most Disappointing Games of 2023 so far. Mm-hmm. And we'd already talked about how number 10 on the list is Jedi Survivor. Yep. And then I had you guess what number 1 was, and I was mistaken on what number 1 was because the thing I was thinking is actually number 2. But
which was Last of Us.
Which is Last of Us Part 1 for the PC specifically, because, and this is what we were having the conversation with just a few seconds ago before we did our intros and hit play. Essentially the reason why it's so high up on this list is because of the fact that it started discussions about what is acceptable as a PC release and what is not, because the version they released of PC was so inferior in every way, shape, and form to the console version even, that it kind of was like, why are we paying the same price? Why are they outsourcing this game to other people who in the past been shown to not be able to make competent, ports and that sort of thing? And why are we getting so many damn bad ports on PC this year? Because this was our fucking 12th one, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So that was basically why it is number 2, because it's also showed that the normal amount of VRAM in a graphics card is 8 gigabytes. This game showed that you can't run 1080p max settings with the normal amount of VRAM in a PC game. And then it actually made graphics card manufacturers start doing 12 and 16 gigabyte VRAM cards on the low end instead of just on the max high end of graphics cards. So before you'd have to pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get a graphics card that has 16 or 24 gigabytes of VRAM. And now you can get that on an entry level card because games aren't running without a higher amount of VRAM now because of that. And so this started a huge discussion in the PC community and just gaming community in general on what is acceptable for a PC version of a game, and why are people that are so well known for releasing excellent games on console, why are they just shitting out whatever on the PC? Especially when it's one of their flagship franchises. It's unacceptable. And that's essentially where this was. I will tell you what number 1 was, but I don't think we've even discussed this. Number 1 was the Golem game, which I believe I had a discussion with you where I thought this was going to be the next worst port, on anywhere.
Yeah, I think we had a very quick discussion about it.
And I was correct. It's actually considered the worst game released this year so far. So that's really neat. And not just from a porting perspective, it's period. It's just incredibly bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 8 hours of fetch quests that barely work. That's essentially what it is.
Sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, and it's like a walking sim with stealth elements. And you can actually break the checkpoint system, which then will soft lock you and make you have to restart entire hours and hours of progress. So
can't say enough great things about it.
It's super bad. There's a reason why it's number 1. But anyway, we decided to have this discussion essentially, and decided to make this entire episode discussion based, just because we ain't got shit to talk about right now.
Yeah. So, okay. Let me guess other games that may be on this list. I don't know. There's one other one I would just be curious if it's on there.
Okay.
Because obviously, if Tales of Symphonia, or not Tales of Symphonia, that's the game I'm gonna say. Tales of Symphonia Remastered, would also be a big disappointment.
Let me see if it is on this list, because I actually don't remember. Forspoken's on here. We already talked about Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem's on here.
Yeah.
Tales of Symphonia is not on this list, actually.
Oh.
The other stuff is just worse. The main reason why Fire Emblem actually got number 5 is because of just how uninspired it was.
Yeah,
they essentially felt the same way. They were it feels like a $60 mobile game.
Yeah, it's just very disappointing. I'm not surprised by that. Tales of Symphonia, I was just curious because it's,
I can rattle off the 10 right now. So 10 is Jedi Survivor.
Okay.
9 is actually AEW Fight Forever.
Oh, really?
due to the fact that it has so few modes and so little like customizable content that you can kind of run through it in a day, which
Mhm.
is fair. It is very fair, but the actual gameplay is like really good. It's just very simplistic and it's kind of super arcadey to a fault, essentially. 8 is Blood Bowl 3, which is a very popular strategy PC game and is also on console, but it's just kind of a step back in every way, shape, and form from the other two games that released before it. And also the
Mhm.
online was kind of shitty.
Yeah,
Uh, was I on 8? I think I was on 8.
I
Let me
think
see.
so.
7 is Atomic Heart. I disagree with this one, and I kind of feel like their reason for Atomic Heart being number 7 is like super prudish because essentially they said there's some there's some very like early 2000s kind of things going on here. Essentially, there's some like legitimate sex robots that say really creepy shit,
Okay.
and there's also elements where like the character is just like grizzled and angry at all times and like shouting expletives, and I'm just like, yeah, it just kind of feels like an old throwback like 90s game, and I'm cool with that. Doesn't bother me. Plus they also had to quickly make a English translation, so all the English voice acting and everything is kind of not the way the game is supposed to be played in the
Yeah.
first place. So I kind of don't give them any flack for that in general. So that's my main thing there. Forspoken is number 6. Forspoken's just bad. Like it is a game where the character hates being the main character, and you're forced to play as them for like 22 hours, and it's really bad. And by
Okay.
the end of it, they essentially try to be like, "Oh, but look, she's so sad because things happen. Like a random switch flipped in her head all of a sudden, and now you should feel bad for her also." And it's like, no, she's been an asshole this entire game. Fuck her. I didn't even want to play as her. So that's Forspoken.
There.
Um, then 5, yeah, 5 is Fire Emblem Engage, which we already have said our piece about this game a number of fucking times. 4 is Redfall. Redfall is bad. 3 is a game I haven't actually played or heard of, but
Hmm.
it kind of looks interesting, and I didn't see the reason why. The Last Case of Benedict Fox.
Oh, the game did look interesting.
Yeah,
I
so
wonder
I'm not
why.
entirely sure. Apparently, it's just kind of, let me see something.
Okay.
Performance issues, clunky controls, just illogical story, that sort of thing.
All the fun
And the
things.
game was essentially broken at launch, and
Hmm.
it didn't play anything like what they were advertising it as. It turned out to actually just be a Metroidvania game instead of a platformer, and not a good one. All right, moving on. Number 2 is Last of Us Part 1 for PC, which we've already. Oh boy, have I already discussed this too, to the ends of Earth. And number 1 is Lord of the Rings Gollum, which is, I can chime in on this one because I watched someone actually play through it. Broken checkpoint system, busy fetch quest the entire game, just poor AI, mostly stealth based and walking from point A to point B. It is really really bad, just
Hmm.
really bad. So that's the 10 biggest disappointments of 2023 so far. But yeah, we made a guess last time on what we thought would be like the next worst games. So I'm gonna go back to that guess and ask you, what do you think will be the next worst games released in 2023? And I think we have to look at the list you sent me first and foremost in order to get there, don't we?
Yeah, which is just for those listening, it's just a list of games coming up in the next 6 months, really.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So yeah, we got a list here of upcoming games that we wanted to talk about, as well as, yeah. So we're gonna discuss what we think will be actually good, and then we'll come back to that what we think might be bad, or maybe we'll
Okay.
just roll it all up together, essentially. So you want to start with this month? yeah,
With July,
yeah, with July.
I mean, I'm excited for Pikmin 4. The demo was pretty good.
hmm
It's kind of a boring month, though.
Yeah. So the one game that I would like to say or talk about that I really want to play actually released today. So I guess there's no point because I'll probably talk about it in like a few weeks. There's this
Hmm.
game called Viewfinder. This game looks really fucking cool. Essentially, you take like pictures, but the pictures you can then manipulate the world with the picture that you've taken. and
Okay.
like create like platforms and things to solve puzzles. So think like Portal, but in order to like solve the Portal like puzzles and get from point A to point B, you have to take photographs and then manipulate like time and space using the photograph you took. Looks super fucking cool. I think
Yeah,
this one might be really interesting. So
it sounds like it could be.
also apparently Exoprimal's bad. You know, that Capcom dinosaur game.
Well, I'm not surprised on that one.
So here's the interesting thing. Every
Mhm.
single time you've seen this game, what did you think it was? Like, you thought it was like a horde shooter, essentially? Some similar to like
Mm,
Left 4 Dead or whatever?
let me look at. I don't even remember it off the top of my head. Let's see.
It was shown in like every Sony PlayStation and Microsoft conference, so I thought you might have seen it.
It looks dumb so far.
You looking at like a trailer? Because I don't want you to look at straight up gameplay because that ruins the surprise.
So far, I'm just looking at art for it.
Okay, hold on. Let me give you a trailer for.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do the PS5 one that was at one of the showcases. Okay.
Okay.
So this one's from 4 months ago.
hmm
So yeah, essentially, if you like look at this, you can just skim through it. You don't have to watch the whole thing. But it looks like a group of friends team up together and fight dinosaurs in mechs or like mech suits that you can wear, that sort of thing. And it's all like class-based suits. So like someone can be like a melee-focused damage dealer, someone's like a sniper rifle guy, all that sort of thing. It looks like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like you see what I'm talking about. It looks like that, and it's got like some story elements in there. So it's probably like a cool little horde shooter where you have story elements, fight these hordes of dinosaurs. Really neat things going on here. So could be interesting.
Yeah.
This is a PvP game.
Oh.
This is a player versus player Overwatch clone.
Who do the people play as dinosaurs then?
Nope, they play as the same team that you play as, but on the opposite side, and you guys are both just kind of pushing a point and fighting the dinosaurs at the same time while doing so. So, on top of the whole fighting the hordes of dinosaurs, you're also fighting real players.
Oh.
It's bad, apparently, and it was not advertised as this sort of game. It does not look good from what I'm seeing. Like, I just don't understand like why they hid that. Because I'm
Yeah.
like 99% sure every single trailer I saw did not ever give me that impression.
No, it's not what I would guess this game would be. Although I guess they did have an open beta test in March, so I mean maybe
Yeah.
we might have known then. But no, it still looks not what I would expect from the trailer, based on what you're describing. Very different kind of game.
Yeah. So I guess we can just kind of move on from that because let's move on from July because like we really don't really have that much for July. You mentioned Pikmin 4, which you think is going to be good. You already played the demo of.
Yeah, Pikmin 4 looks good. Demo's already good. I mean, we could also, it's probably a good place to throw in the new Mario Kart DLC because that did just come out this week
It's true.
as well. I played it, honestly, I thought it was pretty underwhelming. I don't know if you tried the new courses or not.
I don't know if I did. I played like the night of release, and I don't remember if we got any of the new courses because a lot of the time we did random.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So,
so the packs had basically 4. So what was it? There's 8 new races, and then 4 of them are classic ones. I think you got like Daisy's cruise ship or whatever. I don't remember what it's called, but I mean that one's fine.
Mm-hmm.
3 make levels that were in there weren't too bad. There was like I think Moonview Highway, Koopa Cape. And the last one was a Game Boy Advance one, which I don't ever remember those levels, but they were all fine. I didn't really mind those. But then you had 3 tour courses, which were the tour courses. They're always kind of like a mixed bag. They're not really great. They're not really bad. They're just kind of like, oh, okay, this works, whatever. I think it was Vancouver, Athens, and where was the last place? I don't even remember. Probably because it wasn't that exciting, would be my guess. And then you had the new, like, they had kind of that bathroom one that they showed off in the Nintendo Direct.
Okay.
That level was fine. Not too exciting. I had just kind of very status quo kind of level. Like I said, I don't know. None of the stages in this one particularly, like,
nothing really stood out
to me. Yeah, I think out of the, I don't know what they're on now, 5 DLC packs that they put up so far, this is kind of the most underwhelming one. Too many tour stages, and because there was 3 of them, one had 2, and then you kind of had this new bathroom one. So I was kind of like, it's okay, works, I suppose. It's just not. I think the last one might have been somewhere in California, either like LA or San Fran.
Okay,
Last one.
that's weird, but all right.
Yeah, but yeah, no, not really. I said anything to kind of write home with. I felt like the last one was much better, with that kind of new Yoshi's Island level, which out of all the new stages they had in this, definitely was the most interesting. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of that you had 3 new characters. Wiggler was there, Kamek, and I don't even remember who the third one was. Again, just not. I mean, it's cool that there's new stuff coming out for this. I kind of expect they'll probably keep doing this because it seems like it's doing well for them. I mean, Mario Kart is one of the best-selling games on the Switch, even still. So, and I love having new stages to it. I'd much rather have I think Mario Kart 8's a well-built game, and I think having more stages for it's excellent. So I really don't have any complaints with them kind of keeping new stages coming out. But unless it's just kind of this set, which is kind of underwhelming. So hopefully turn around for the last one. There's only 2 more waves. Well, 1 more wave left of 2 different cups. So yeah, that was kind of. I played through them once, and I'm like, that was enough. Don't need any more. Meanwhile, the last one, I just couldn't keep my hands off that Yoshi's Island stage. I played it 8 times. So
very nice.
Yeah. Anyways, we move on to the next month. Where is
August?
Yeah.
This one's big. I think this is a big month. All right, so a few of the standout titles, in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about this. Baldur's Gate 3. That's fucking huge. Just gonna go ahead and say that right now.
Yeah, it looked pretty good from everything we've seen so far.
Yeah. Looking at other things in here, I personally am very excited about Vampire Survivors getting on the Switch finally. And my most looked forward to game of the year, if it was just me and not all of us voting last year, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk comes out on August 18th, which I am super fucking excited for.
Oh, yeah, I'm really excited for that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the quote-unquote spiritual successor to Jet Grind Radio, and I'm very happy about that. Some of the other big titles in here, we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not really one I'm interested in. I'm kind of done with the 4v1 or whatever formula of games, but people said it was really good and very different from your normal killer versus victims kind of games. So I mean, apparently it was doing really well on during the open beta. So that's cool. Armored Core. We got Armored Core again. Armored Core 6, I think it is. Is that what it is? Yeah, Armored Core 6. This is a return to Armored Core after so many fucking years of it being gone because FromSoft was busy making every single Dark Souls game humanly possible. I'm super excited for this game. I think it's going to be great. That's probably going to be a standout title probably for the entire year. And other than that, the one I would point to that I think you might be interested in is Sea of Stars. Definitely do not sleep on this. So there was I believe a demo of this during the recent Steam's Next Fest, right? And this game is kind of like Chrono Trigger, right? And it's modern day, really good sprite art, really good RPG. It looks really good. I highly recommend looking into this one. Apparently, this was one that was in. It's a Super Nintendo style JRPG. This is made by the same people that made The Messenger.
Okay.
Fuck, I can't remember what else they made. They made another game, but anyway, it doesn't matter. They kind of know how to do old school looking games, and apparently, people are really liking it. So there you go.
I know the trailer looked really good for it. I think they showed it in one of the Nintendo Directs, maybe.
I believe they did as well. Yeah. But yeah, looking at the art as well as the gameplay of this, I mean, it looks really good. This is probably going to be a standout title, probably one of those indie darlings for the year. So that's cool. Some other titles that I'm excited about on here, WrestleQuest looks fucking excellent. It is a JRPG, but with legitimate licensed wrestlers like Randy Savage and Jake the Snake Roberts and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. Another indie RPG similar to Sea of Stars, but in the wrestling universe. So that's cool. And essentially, one of my favorite parts of Live Alive was the wrestling chapter of the game. So having an entire game based around wrestlers and their moves and taking place in a made up fantasy world that's inhabited only by wrestlers. Super fucking neat. Kind of excited for that one. Yeah, some good shit here. And then you have Immortals of Avium, which I think this game is going to be one of the biggest flops of the year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the EA Originals first person shooter where you have like Doctor Strange laser hands that looked really, really bad when they showed it off. Like, really bad. I think this is going to be one of the worst games of the year. I might be wrong, but I think it is. Anything here you see that stands out?
Well, I'm looking at a video for this, like Stray Gods, the role-playing musical.
Oh yeah. I saw a trailer for this during Games Fest. It looks fun. It looks like it could be very fun. I think the person that showed it off was one of the voice actors, and she also sings in it.
It looks really interesting. I like kind of the concept.
Yeah, it's got kind of some Life is Strange vibes to it, and then it's like it's got like the looks of fuck. Why can I think of it? The Wolf Among Us.
Mm-hmm.
It has like that kind of art style, and I dig it. Yeah, I think this one might be good too. It's a Humble Games published game, and they tend to publish some pretty good games.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It's got an interesting art style. Music sounds like it's pretty decent. And the interaction with it looks interesting. I'm just kind of curious how it ends up playing it, and I guess maybe how long it is too. But yeah, no, I never heard of it before.
Yeah, I do think this one was shown off very recently. Oh, and you can still download the Sea of Stars demo right now if you have Steam.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to give that a go, I would recommend actually looking into it because it's a pretty fucking sick game.
Okay. What about Smurfs Kart?
Dude, that's like game of the year material right there. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like, it's got to be good.
Who isn't going to be playing Smurfs Kart?
Who isn't? Who will not play that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's all I gotta talk about with.
Yeah, August. I don't have really much for August there, other than what we already pointed out. September, anything here that stands out to you?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep, but that's on PS5. But yeah, it does stand out.
Let's see, Bait and Gatos 1 and 2 HD remaster. Yep. I hope they don't fuck it up.
I agree.
So, and I'm still disappointed about the voice acting on that, but that is what it is. Maybe they'll patch it in. I don't know. And it's Namco, so I'm not expecting much.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mortal Kombat looks great.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 1 looks awesome.
So I think that one's kind of safe kind of bet there.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know any of these other ones? It's Starfield. Duh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should I point out the obvious one that you haven't mentioned?
I don't know. I looked right over it on the list. I was too drawn to Baldur's Gate and too repulsed by Fae Farm, and I must have just missed it because it's right in between those two. But yeah, no, Starfield. Everything I've seen for that looks pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited for that. And especially too with it being, Game Pass, I'm like, oh well, I don't really have an excuse not to play it.
It's true.
Unless Bethesda themselves and makes a really glitchy day one product, then maybe.
Oh, it's entirely possible. In fact, it's pretty probable. Probable. All right, so there's actually a lot of things that I think stand out here on this list for September. First, I'll go over the one that you overlooked because you went straight to Baldur's Gate and then you overlooked Starfield and then you made fun of Fae Farm. But I would like to point you in the direction of the game that's the better version of what Fae Farm is trying to be, and that's Rune Factory 3 Special Edition for the Nintendo Switch. Okay, wait. Hold on. So, do you have something just against farming games in general, or like games like Harvest Moon, games like that sort of thing? Or
I don't think there's too many of them, so I'm just kind of repulsed, I guess.
Okay, so let me point you at this one, because this is a remake of a 3DS one, so it's going to bring that game down in price exponentially, and as such, we can continue playing the game without having to spend fucking $80 on it. So that's the reason why I'm pointing at that because
Okay.
that's good. It's good to re-release something that's on 3DS because if you looked at 3DS game prices right now, they're through the fucking roof. They
Hmm.
are ridiculously high right now. So, and Rune Factory as a series is a very good series. So I would actually highly recommend Rune Factory 3. I'm looking forward to Starfield and Baldur's Gate, obviously, although I'll probably play Baldur's Gate on PC, so I got it a month before.
Hmm.
But Bait and Kados looks great. Lies of P, the Pinocchio Dark Souls like game, awesome. Super excited for that one. Mortal Kombat 1, we already talked about that. Party Animals. This game looks like a really dumb, fun party game to play with people. I think you might want to look into this one a little bit more. This one looks really silly. It's kind of like, you know, the game Power Stone?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of like that mixed with Smash Brothers, but you're playing as animals just trying to kill the fuck out of each other in really silly ways using environmental objects and everything. It looks really silly. Like
Okay.
it would be like a blast to play with some friends. Internights, this game is one I've been looking at. I think it's made by a single person or maybe three people at most, but they've made like a full-on action RPG, and it's like their first game ever, and the demo for it was really good. It's kind of like a combination of like lighter Souls-like elements and a dating sim with like massively incredibly animated like anime cutscenes and everything,
Yeah.
and like it's incredible for the people that are working on it, and it's like a very small group of people essentially. So
Okay.
Payday 2 was a great game. Payday 3 is here. Payday 3 was kind of shadow announced like a few weeks ago, and now it's already coming out.
Yep.
um I mean, Payday 2 was great, so there's that. My Time at Portia was great, and My Time at Sandrock, which is the sequel to that, awesome game. Miniko's Night Market. This is the one with the cats that they've shown off for like 600 years on the Switch. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
finally releasing. I
The
think
one that
this
I
looks like fun.
the one I thought was the um Okami looking game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I think we got a solid like 10 or so titles here for September. I think September's stacked, to be completely honest.
Not
So
as
yeah,
stacked as October though.
is it?
I think so. I
Okay,
think
let's
October's
let's
pretty
go.
stacked. So what do we got there? We got Alan Wake 2.
Mhm.
Looks great. We got Mario Wonder. Looks great.
That's
There's a
true.
Metal Gear
Solid
Master
Master
Collection.
Collection Volume 1. Oh, you're right. We
Yeah.
got some good shit here, actually.
Yeah.
Spider-Man
Um,
2?
oh
Shit.
yeah.
Oh my god, you're right. October is stacked. World of Horror. Do not sleep on World of Horror. I bought this game when it was in early access in 2018 before
Hmm.
the developer vanished off the face of the planet and then reappeared at the end of the pandemic and was like, "I'm still alive, guys. I'm working on the game again." And that happened.
Hmm.
Game's really good. It is a RPG game. Like you make choices like are you going to go down this hallway and everything. But it's like drawn in the old style of um like horror manga and that sort of thing,
Okay.
mixed with like old PC things where you'd be like, go down this corridor, go do
Hmm.
this, that sort of thing. But then the way you pick them is kind of like different each time you go through a scenario, and when you die you can come back as a different character and then try it again but have like different outcomes each time, so it's kind of like replayable a lot, like a lot, and the way you like attack is via like dice rolls and that sort of thing, similar to Baldur's Gate. So there's a lot going on there, like a whole lot going on there. The aesthetic of World of Horror is really fucking cool. The story is really neat. If you buy it on PC, which I know you won't, obviously, but if you were to, this game has like modding and level support, like where you can create your own scenarios and play through other people's that they've made. I
Okay.
just linked you so you can see like the images of the game itself. It's incredible. It's very like the old gods, so similar to something like Eternal Darkness, where like there's a cult and they're trying to bring back the old gods, but they may already exist, and you uncover different things based on your choices, and you find weapons by exploring different rooms, and it's just really neat. And it's coming to Switch and PS4 and everything else in in October, and I think this will be a great game to play in October because it is horror themed and it's like not too scary, but it's like creepy enough that it's like, oh, okay.
Okay, so like a nice kind of Halloween-ish game.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, I'm on board with that.
Did you see the link to the site and like the fucking aesthetic? Because the aesthetic is amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Looks great. I like it. It's very, very old school.
There's also a demo on there if you want to check it out. I think that might. Yeah, there's a Mac OS one, so you can check that if you want.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving on from that, you like skipped over Detective Pikachu Returns completely.
Well, I know. I was going to come back to that one because it's one of those kind of asterisk ones. Could it be interesting? Could be. Don't know. The gameplay for the first one was not like super captivating, so I'm not like, oh man, this game's going to be awesome. Because it was kind of like simplistic, kind of, almost text adventure, Phoenix Wright-esque. So I liked the first one.
Okay.
And I think we talked about it recently, I think with the Nintendo Direct. It had kind of a interesting story that was very much like the movie. So it'll be interesting to see, what direction it takes with that. So I think that aspect will be interesting. The, big question though is, what are they going to do for the gameplay? So, and that's kind of harder to predict, I think.
Okay.
So, could it be interesting? Absolutely. Will it be interesting? Don't know.
Yeah. And then obviously there's Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is a back to basics Assassin's Creed game, which is kind of neat. I dig that. We're no longer in the RPG element of Assassin's Creed. We're going back to like Assassin's Creed 2. So, and I guess nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Forza Motorsport. I love the Forza games. You know how I feel about those.
Yep.
I'm excited to play that because it's going to be on Game Pass. So fucking who cares? And you already pointed out Alan Wake 2. You know what? You're right. Like, legitimately, October is probably the most stacked month here. It is stacked to the brim with releases.
But
then
there's November.
You're going to keep doing this, aren't you?
No, December's definitely not going to get the same thing. But November looks really good, too. You got what? Super Mario RPG Remake. You got Persona 5 Tactics. You got the Like a Dragon Gaiden.
Yes, we do.
WarioWare.
Yeah.
You got the Smurfs 2, The Prisoner of the Green Stone. I mean, Star Ocean, the second story R.
That game looks awesome, let's be honest.
Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like it's going to be pretty decent end of the year. Granted, there is
quality over quantity maybe here?
Yeah, I would say quality over quantity here. You don't have a lot to choose from. Also, I feel like there's probably some November releases that maybe just have not quite landed in there yet.
Yeah, I think there's some stuff missing from here. I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot missing, I think.
Probably stuff that's kind of like, that we know is going to be in the end of this year, but has not yet been placed anywhere yet. So I think we're kind of waiting for, a couple of things to kind of round out that list.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably, just with what's there, it's not too bad. So it's not like it's necessarily a bad month. And like you said, quality over quantity. There's some good stuff in there. Like those games that I mentioned probably are going to be very good. So, yeah. So I'm excited for those ones that I had mentioned, which is almost all the games coming out in November.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like November and October are just crazy months. Those are probably the two biggest ones I'm looking forward to.
Which is usually how it is. Let's be honest. Those are usually kind of where a good chunk of our games of the year come from in there. So, yeah, I think those would be good. So yeah, that's November. I don't think there's any kind of real bad.
I'm looking at another list because like looking at these well, there's a real bad standout, but I'll leave that one alone. Because that involves an entire story that we need to talk about if I go down that route.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna fucking do it.
Oh, so, no.
If you look, it says November 10th, the day before.
This
game
would be November 9th.
Well, okay. This game, right? This
Uh-huh.
game called The Day Before is supposed to be like similar to The Division or like a zombie apocalypse or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this game is quite literally a scam.
Okay.
It's believed by many people that it doesn't actually even exist.
Uh-huh.
Um, they are also wrapped up in like two lawsuits,
Uh-huh.
and they gave like fake footage to Nvidia to show off at one of their conferences.
I feel like we've talked about this game before.
Yeah, and like people found out like, oh, here's the stuff that's being used here, but it's actually not. And then they put out like a recent trailer for it, like a few months back, and it looks nothing like what they originally showed off. And now
Oh,
it's like completely different. It looks like trash essentially. And then
uh-huh.
even that trailer is shot for shot recreations of other video game trailers that they stole from.
Oh, lovely.
Mm-hmm. So
So not have too much faith in that one, what we're saying.
I feel like this one might be like a very interesting news piece though at the end of the year because I do think this is actually just a scam and it won't exist. But we will see.
Yeah, we will see. What else? I don't know if there's anything exciting in November or December. Oh, Dragon Quest Monsters. You're excited for that?
Oh yeah, that one looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Yeah.
another Dragon Quest game just released on PC. The Dragon Quest Dungeons game looks pretty
Uh-huh.
good. I haven't played it, but it does look pretty good. It's the one that was on Switch. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
on something now that once again can probably run it.
Okay.
So there's that. Yeah, Dragon Quest Treasures. That's what it is. Dragon Quest Treasures. That game looks fun.
Yeah.
Apparently, it
And then
released at like the beginning of this year, and like no one's talking about it.
sometimes that happens. Things come out at the
Yeah,
wrong time. Gets
that's true.
overlooked.
But here's the thing: it's a Dragon Quest game. You understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah, but it's a Dragon Quest spin-off, though.
True.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can give it maybe a little bit of, slack for being under purchase. I think the big kind of takeaway would be how did it do in Japan?
That's a good question. I'll have to look
Mm-hmm.
into that.
Yeah. Other things that we don't know about this year, though, there are quite
Yes.
a few games that have not, maybe have been announced for this year, but have not gotten a release date yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can expect, say, like the Pokemon DLC to be out this year. That could
Yeah.
be interesting, and probably will help fill out some of those months. I would imagine one of them probably will come out in November in that usual time frame we're used to.
I feel like Helldivers 2 will also come out, and so will Tekken 8.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because they just had like a beta for Tekken 8, and normally when you have something like that, even as a closed one, you're only a few months out from release. Same
Oh
with
yeah.
Stalker 2. I think Stalker 2 didn't have a beta, but I feel like Stalker 2 will absolutely release this year.
That makes sense. One other game I know that I will buy, but it will not probably be anything too terribly exciting because they never are. Jackbox Party Pack 10.
Yeah, that doesn't have a release date either, does it? Just 2023, right?
Yeah, no, Jackbox Party Pack 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to load up the blog to see what was in it because I know they announced. I think it was TKO2. I think was their big one for this year. But their blog is being an absolute douchebag right now. Yeah, TKO2 was announced. If you remember, I think we actually enjoyed that one.
That's a T-shirt one, right?
Yeah, where you kind of make art for it, and then someone makes like a slogan for it, and then you can get a T-shirt, and then you can just do you can actually like order it afterwards. So you got that coming. Oh, they announced a game called Time Jinx, I guess, as well for it. I'm trying to see what that is. Oh, it's a trivia game.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Let me see what it says. So, it sounds very odd, actually. They announced. Let's see. It sounds like they announced most of the games. TKO2, Fiery Text, Hypnotorious, and Time Jinx are the games that are in there.
All right. Then.
But it says this Time Jinx is like a time travel trivia game. And it sounds like, I don't know, that's what they say. You'll be tasked through the following things: hop in your time machine and travel to certain years, blend into random parties in certain decades, navigate your way through a time loop, save a real historical figure from their evil imposter, and fix the absurd butterfly effect that you caused. Da-da-da. So, it looks like there's one more game, maybe. So stay tuned for our final announcement in early August. So, yeah, so it could be interesting. I think traditionally the issue with the Jackbox games is they usually have like maybe 2 games that are really good in each pack, and then maybe 2 games that are mediocre, and then one that is just god awful.
I see.
But I always have fun trying them out and just kind of seeing how they go. So it'll be nice. We usually do, especially kind of once it gets colder, we usually do kind of like game nights every once in a while. Sometimes board games, sometimes video games. Like, it's usually kind of like multiplayer video game fare. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. But Jackbox, because we were just playing, I think it was, what was it, Jackbox Party Pack 6 this weekend, which we always play because of the Murder Trivia Party. It's like our favorite game. And every once in a while, and it just kind of boggles my mind. I don't know how much you've played that one, but
I haven't a lot.
Oh, yeah. So it's kind of a trivia game, and then if you get the question wrong, you get sent into a mini game, and then if you lose the mini game, then you end up dying. And it's kind of just like a competition to see who can get out of this like murder hotel.
Oh yeah, I have played that one a few times. Not many, but a few.
But every once in a while, something happens in that game, like as did this weekend, that causes like just some what the fuck moments. Not because of like the way the game plays, but there's weird shit hidden in that game that just does not pop up that often. Like, so this game started out with one of our friends ended up losing a mini game, and then they go into, or they end up losing a question. 3 people did, so they get sent into a mini game. Each of them are told to pick a box. 2 people got money in their box, and the last one got a wig. And so they put the wig on the player character, and they're like, "Oh, you remind me of my mom." Okay, so creepy. So then friend goes to the next round. She gets the question wrong, and he's like, "Oh, you remind me of my mom. I'll let you slide by this time." Okay, weird. Then so gets another question wrong, and it was like, "Well, I can't accept this failure anymore." So she ends up getting killed, and I think, if I remember, I ended up beating her in whatever minigame it was. So I ended up with the wig. Okay. Well, it doesn't say anything about the wig anymore, whatever, but everyone's like, "Oh, Mike, that's weird. You got the wig of that character on." Yeah. So then I ended up getting to the end. I ended up winning. And then, so credits roll like usual. You beat the game. And I go to, like, restart again. And instead of it restarting, I'm taken to, like, a hospital room. And, like, so it just kind of shows you, like, a first-person kind of view. You're in, like, a hospital bed, looking down at your feet. There's the hospital lights over you. And then, like, the creepy murder man comes back and is like, "Hey, you're not my real mom, are you?" And it's like, "If you are, you need to prove it to me. When we went on vacation in Tennessee, where did we go?" And then so it pops up with another question that only you can answer. And kind of the trick of the question is they give you 4 things, but only one of them's in Tennessee. And it's just kind of like, so I'm just
kinda, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like Dollywood. And it's like, "Oh, okay, I knew you were my real mom." And then it gives you like some extra money. It was so weird. And I was like, we've never seen anything like that before. Never seen anything like that after. We've probably played hundreds of games of this Murder Trivia Party. Never seen anything like it before. Don't know why it happened. Don't know where it came from. Very random. Yeah, but like that's the one thing with the Jackbox games. Like, they just slip these little Easter eggs in there that just happen like just a small percentage of the time. It's wild. So I don't know. Really excited to see what ends up happening with that. That was a little bit of a tour. But yeah, be interesting to see what ends up happening. So, another game. I don't remember when it's coming. But the demo's out for it. And
when it's coming
release. I think it's a game we skipped over discussing because maybe it just came
Which
out.
one?
Oh, it did just come out. Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective. The remake just came out.
Yeah, I was interested in that until I saw it was $35, and I was like,
It's Capcom. It'll go on
I'll
sale
wait.
stupid cheap. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But like, it's not right now, so I'm avoiding it.
Which is fair.
Yeah. It also came out during the like summer sale, so it was kind of like dumb.
It's bad timing. Yeah.
Really bad timing.
What else? I don't think that there's anything else on this list that I
Yeah,
like.
nothing else on this list really stands out. Maybe I'm gonna
Yeah,
do
like
a
the stuff
little.
that's
I'll do a little once over real quick.
like maybe Sonic Superstars won't be complete garbage.
Oh yeah, that actually looks like fun. I'm down for that one. I'm down for CS, the Counter Strike 2, which I'm pretty excited about. Looking at the rest of this, Ghost Runner 2 is probably going to be really good, but also that is not announced for when that's coming out, so it's like a whatever. Oh yeah, Metal Slug Tactics that disappeared. Remember that one?
No.
It's shown on
Maybe.
Switch. It's a real-time strategy game like Fire Emblem, but in the Metal Slug universe.
Okay. That could be
It looks
interesting.
really good. It looks really good. But like, it was shown like a year or two ago.
Mhm.
I'm gonna double check. When was it shown? 2 years ago. Reveal trailer during the Nintendo. Well, it says 1 year ago here. This might be a different one. No, this is the announcement trailer. Yeah, it's like straight up Fire Emblem, but in the Metal Slug universe. It looks sick, and it's made by Emu, and they
Okay.
make really good shit. So I have hope for this, but like it just kind of appeared and then didn't. Oh yeah, there was a few announcements this week. Actually, now that I think about it, did you see that Limited Run Game had gaming announcements?
Uh-huh.
And they announced some new games, and not
Oh, great.
just limited run games, like actual games. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you some of the cool ones that they announced first. So the Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection for the Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Steam. That was
Oh,
announced. I thought
what
you
is
might
it?
be interested in that. It's like all
Yeah.
the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo Jurassic Park games on one cartridge.
No.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. Let me see exactly what the games are that are going to be on it. So, I need to know more. Okay, here we go. The Game Boy, NES, and Super Nintendo versions of Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park Part 2: The Chaos Continues. So you get 3 different versions of each of these games.
Okay. Interesting.
That's coming to Switch for $29.99. But there's another one
Mm-hmm.
that you may be more interested in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over to their official site because it says to like view them on the site. So I'll look at it real quick. Where is it? Maybe coming soon. I don't know where to find this, but they said they're going to have a VHS version where it looks like the VHS tape of Jurassic Park for the Switch.
Okay.
I don't know where that is or where to see it, but yeah, there's that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. That was the one I thought you would be interested in.
Yeah. No,
They
that sounds cool.
they also are going to have the Clock Tower collection.
Okay.
So re-release of Clock Tower, which is pretty neat. I don't see that on here unless it's already sold out. It might have already sold out.
Also possible.
These things sell out insanely quick, so who knows? Clock. Let's see what happens if I type that. Oh no, they just haven't put it up yet. Okay, so that one's not ready yet, but they did announce it.
Okay.
Moving on from that, we have Tomba, like the PlayStation 1 game.
Tomba.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that. Looks like they will have. Is it just the first game or is it both? It just says Tomba, so I'm guessing just the original. Coming to all the main consoles: PS4, PS5, Steam, Switch.
Uh-huh.
And then one of the one of the big ones before we get to the big boy
Yeah.
was Gex, the entire trilogy of Gex. So,
Gex? No.
yes, Gex,
I
all of
thought
the
Gex
Gex
was
games.
dead.
Yeah, so did we.
Well, I
I
think
said
that's
we
fair.
because I'm two people, so I guess yeah,
Or you and Katie, maybe.
maybe. I don't think she ever played Gex.
Oh.
But there was one more announcement that I do want to tell you about. This one's actually fucking nuts.
Uh-huh.
So it is a new, God, what do you call it? A new Shantae game.
Oh, yeah. I did hear
Yeah,
about this.
you did hear about this?
Yeah.
What did you hear about it?
Wasn't it like they're finishing a new Shantae game?
They are a new Game Boy Advance Shantae game. The original Game Boy Advance Shantae game that was canceled, they're finishing it.
Yeah.
And they're selling it. And I'm not talking about a PS4, Switch, PC, Steam, any copy like that. They're making a Game Boy Advance game in 2024.
That's pretty cool.
So they're taking the unreleased, like they pulled it out of the vault, the entire unreleased Shantae Game Boy Advance game that was being worked on way back when,
Mm-hmm.
and they're finishing the game and releasing it in 2024
It's awesome.
on a Game Boy Advance cartridge,
Yeah, it's very cool.
which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the big news. That was the big news, and I think that's really neat. That's
No, it is.
actually
I always
happening.
like it when they do things like that. Kind of like, oh, hey, we're gonna make a game, for an old platform that doesn't exist anymore, and it'll still run on that old platform that doesn't
Hmm.
exist anymore.
Yeah, so it's called Risky Revolution, and it is the game that bridges Risky's Revenge and the original Game Boy Color game. It started development in 2002, and they're hoping to have it finished in 2024.
Oh, okay.
So
Doable.
it's pretty nuts that
Yeah,
they're going through and doing this.
absolutely.
And one of the cooler things that they mentioned about this is they have like the original story and everything, and that's just what they're gonna do. That's that they're going to just make it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that is really cool. Um, I imagine, I think it's Way Forward, right? That they're the ones who did it.
It is, yeah.
I imagine they're probably like 10,000% behind this too. So I think that they are, because they've always been very passionate about their own stuff. So,
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they're the ones making it.
oh, so they're finishing it themselves.
They're finishing it themselves, and then Limited
Ah,
Run is releasing the Game Boy Advance cartridge.
for some reason, I thought it was Limited Run was finishing it
No,
too,
no, no,
and
no,
just
no.
kind of taking over where they left off.
No, they're just releasing it. Way
Oh,
Forward is making it and
oh,
finishing what they started in 2002.
yeah. Way Forward's a rad company. I like the stuff that they do.
Way
I don't think,
Forward is like they're like Devolver Digital.
yeah.
I love Devolver Digital, and I quite like Way Forward as well. So
Way Forward. I think they're kind of their thing is they just kind of they never seem to. They're very creative and they seem to do a lot of cool stuff, but I don't
mhm.
think they ever really have gotten themselves kind of like their goose egg yet. Like they seem to just.
I feel like it's Shantae. I'm gonna be honest. Shantae is like huge.
Shut.
Um,
I don't think it sells like it sells well, but I don't think it sells like that well.
it's like okay, so Shantae is the game that I think gets the most. Actually, let's see what the sales of Shantae are. Shantae sells figures. Am I gonna actually find it if I do that? 3 million copies across the entire series. That's that's pretty all right.
I mean, it's all right, but you think about how many
That was
games
in
they've had.
2020.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I guess I would
So,
look at the fact that like if you look at Shantae, right? It
mhm.
has the merchandise, it has the big studios working with it, it has all of that sort of stuff. And like that is something that you see everywhere. Like you see Shantae Funko Pops, you see Shantae gigantic figurines, see Shantae like
Figure.
big smile figures. You
I've
see
never seen
Shantae
those things. I'm
you
not.
see yeah, Studio Trigger, one of the bigger Japanese anime studios,
Mhm.
made an opening animation for Shantae 5.
Oh,
So like they work with all these people, and like Shantae's in Blaster Master Zero. Shantae's in. That's why I think it's like that's their goose because they're golden goose because Shantae they put in everything else essentially, and then on top of all of that, they have so much merchandise of Shantae that it's like crazy.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, it's not like it's.
Apparently, they were working on an animated series at one point,
Mm-hmm.
so there's that as well. And like when you go that far as to like work on an animated series for a game series, that's when I think it's like okay, that's the game essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the other side though, 3 million across like 6 games, not necessarily anything to scoff at, but not necessarily something that's going to single-handedly keep that company afloat. Like they still kind of have to dabble in other things, and I just don't think, like I said, I just don't think they've kind of hit their kind of like threshold game yet, and not necessarily that it can't be Shantae.
I will go ahead and say this right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shovel Knight, as of 2021, has sold 2.5 million copies, and look how big Shovel Knight is.
There's no way Shovel Knight has only sold 2.5 million copies.
3 million units as of 2022.
Let me look into that. I don't believe that.
Yacht Club Games has confirmed that they are nearly at 3 million units sold to mark the excellent Shovel Knight. Yep, here it is. It's literally on their thing. They have it spaced out too, like how much they made like off of each game.
So let's see.
On the official Yacht Club thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah.
So like if you put Shantae up with Shovel Knight and they're both on the same in equal ground, that's pretty fucking good, Let's
see, where is it?
I think we vastly overestimate how many people buy indie titles and the sales returns from indie titles.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and me vastly overestimate that because we fucking like them because they're actually really good games and we can see that. But your average Call of Duty player or whatever's not gonna buy an indie title. You know what I'm saying? But when as your lifetime, you're still making the sales figures of like Call of Duty in like 2 weeks. That's like crazy to us because like this game's incredible and you see like all this stuff for it and it's had spin-offs and this, that, and the other, and it's like, wait a minute, how is it that it has sold less in its lifetime than Call of Duty did in a week? Yeah. And I think that's what we're not really taking into account.
But on the flip side, though, just to kind of point this out, we're talking about 6 Shantae games selling 3 million. Yes. Like Shovel Knight Treasure Trove alone sold 3 million.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I
think that's Treasure Trove is 3 Shovel Knight games in one. To be completely fair.
Yeah, it's like all the different expansions that they did for it.
Well, they sold them as individual games initially.
I think every time I've owned it, it's been all of them.
Yeah, you can buy them separately.
Mm-hmm.
So like I own Treasure Trove, but if I go to like Treasure Trove's page, well, I guess you can't anymore. You used to be able to buy Shovel Knight, Plague of Shadows, Spectre of Torment, and King of Cards. That's 4 titles actually. And then we also had Shovel Knight Showdown, and they sold them separately as they were releasing initially. Then they packaged them all into.
I think once it got down to like the last 1 or 2 things, I think once what is it, the one
Showdown.
with the King?
Oh, and King of Cards. King of Cards.
I think when that one and whatever the last piece was, I think when they were coming out, that's when they had bundled them together.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think they sold that one separate, if I remember. I could be wrong, but
I don't think Showdown sold separately. No. Pocket Dungeon is, and I don't know if that's any good. And so is Dig, but we don't have sales figures for those.
Yeah.
This guy has a review that says this game made me so mad I took a bite out of my water bottle.
Speaking of like review stuff, kind of going back through, because interestingly, and I think it's kind of nice to see different perspectives from time to time. As much as I was glowing about Pikmin 2 yesterday, I happened to see someone on YouTube tossed up a review for Pikmin 2 because they'd never played it before.
Yeah.
Hated it. Absolutely hated it. We're like, do not recommend. They're like, this is the worst of all the Pikmin games. And I was like, wow, that is almost completely opposite of how I feel about that game. Like we have completely opposite takes on the
Hmm.
Pikmin series from top to bottom. Um,
I
and
mean,
I was like,
sometimes it's like that.
yeah, no, and I don't necessarily disagree with like what he was complaining about too. Like so the things that he didn't like were some of the things that I actually thought were like features of the game and
Hmm.
made it better. So it's interesting, just to kind of see because I think kind of the big takeaways, really was their first Pikmin game was Pikmin 3, so they really
Hmm.
like kind of the puzzly exploration element of it because it's much more Pikmin 3 is definitely more of like a puzzle kind of solving game. You have to use the features
Yeah.
of your Pikmin a lot more. And Pikmin 2 had some of that, but a lot of it was kind of more like um, combat and resource management, that kind of
Yeah.
aspect of real time strategy as
And they
opposed
just
to,
didn't care about that. They
yeah,
liked the puzzle elements instead. And
yeah.
that's fair.
And Pikmin 2, one of the things I also really liked as well, if you remember, is like I like kind of like the randomly generated dungeons. Like when you go into the caves,
Oh
you don't
yeah,
know what
that's
you're
right. You
gonna
told me
get.
about that. Hmm.
And then they were like, no, I hate it. They're like, I like how well crafted this stuff is in the other games, and this game kind of seems like it's just thrown together. And then it's like, and someone pointed out it's randomly generated, and he's like, that makes sense. So, yeah, no, it's kind of that's it. Interesting to see kind of the other side of it. So, um, I still like Pikmin 2 the best. I finished it up, and I finished up Pikmin 3 this last week. Um, and Way Forward game, I really want to see re-released, just to kind of detour for a hot second. I
Hmm.
really want them to re-release DuckTales remastered on the Switch. That's a game that I really want.
Oh, you know what? That's fair. That's a good game.
Um, yeah, for some reason, I don't know if it's maybe something happened with the license
License
or whatever. Um,
licenses. Yeah, like the PlayStation 3 version of that is through the roof in price
is
value.
it?
So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, too bad. I'm sure it will come back around again. Everything comes in cycles.
Yep,
Uh,
definitely.
let it back out of the vault. Oh, there's another. Is this one?
Oh
Hold
yeah, you
on.
know what? Hold on, hold on.
Yeah,
It might actually, it's back down in price, so it might actually be at that point where it's like maybe they've got the rights again or something.
maybe. I don't know.
I
Actually, there's an.
remember one of the DuckTales games being like super valuable on like new consoles, not on like old consoles.
Still,
Maybe Wii U? No,
it could be Wii U. I mean, not like they put out a lot of physical
it
copies.
doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah. Another Way Forward game. Actually, I picked it up recently.
matter.
I had not talked about it on the podcast, so I was waiting to play a bit more of it.
Hmm.
But I bought Boy and His Blob again for the
Oh
Switch,
yeah,
hmm
how do you like
which I
it?
loved. I love that game on the Wii, and I
Nice.
was like, it has a hug button. And it's
It
a
does.
very like cute, endearing game, like a very cute puzzle game. Another game that should have done much better than it did, but it
Hmm.
just kind of wrong place, wrong time, and I don't know, maybe not edgy enough. I
Have you
think or
played
else.
Switch Force?
No, I did not. I heard it was
Way
good.
very good way forward game. Very very good.
Mhm.
Sorry, you said Switch, and my brain immediately went Switch Force.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of Way Forward's kind of just stuck in this kind of weird feedback loop. I think right now,
Hmm.
Shantae's not big enough for it to support them completely,
Yeah.
so they have to keep on doing these little projects on the side. And it's like and they like you look at something like Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. Great game.
Hmm.
I talked about it earlier this year. They totally got screwed over by the world events going on at that time.
Yeah.
And there's no way they didn't end up hurting sales for it.
River City
So
Girls is way forward. That's a good series also.
and then,
Yeah, very good. It's
apparently
like,
they're also doing the Clock Tower thing too.
oh, so they're the ones working on that. Okay.
Yeah. That could be interesting. That whole they put out a video of it.
Interesting. Anyway, my brain stopped working.
Oh, okay. I guess I did not think what this game was.
What was it?
The Clock Tower game.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of more like a Maniac Mansion type game.
Yeah,
Did not know.
you didn't know that.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it looks much more interesting. Although I don't think they showed up any actual gameplay of it, maybe? I'm not sure. But I'm excited to see what happens to it. So I'll keep my eyes on it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyways. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm dying.
Okay.
It's so
No.
hot. It's so hot.
All right, let's wrap it up then.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, check out game-crunch.com. All our latest episodes there. Actually, all our episodes are there. Nothing latest about it. If you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, Twitter. You can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hello.
any final thoughts?
Nah.
Okay. Well, that said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online. I'm Clash of Penguin on Twitter or your favorite gaming console. Until next week, game on.
Game on. We have no AC, period, and I'm dying. So,
Yeah.
I haven't really been playing anything. So, if you want to just have a random, like, fucking chat about just some random shit, that would probably be better. Like, maybe games we're looking forward to or something for the rest of the year, because I have literally nothing that I played.
Okay. I don't know if
And
there's any
I don't.
exciting news this week either.
Yeah, no, that's why I figured we could just do something on the fly. Like, some upcoming games that maybe we're looking forward to and have some discussions about that. I thought that might be a good replacement.
Yeah, sure. I think that's fine.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't. I think the only thing I would talk about this week is Mario Kart, anyways.
Oh yeah, I did play that,
Mhm.
but I didn't play like much.
Yeah, no, nothing too exciting. Honestly, it's the least exciting update that they've had DLC wise. I think. Yeah. So.
All I know is my friend sent me a message and he's like, "How does Wiggler car?" And I was like, that's a good question.
It's magic. Nintendo magic. Yeah, no, there's no exciting news this week.
Nothing.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Let's talk about it.
I watched like the first 48 minutes of Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How was that?
I liked it so far.
Okay.
And then I gotta watch the sequel afterwards. Because, yeah, I've not watched really. Okay, I have, but didn't pay much attention.
Okay.
But I'm actually sitting down and watching it because it's like I need something to take my mind off of heat. Movie is good idea to take off heat.
All right, yeah, I'm fine with that. Actually, too, because I'm just looking at it.
Yeah.
Game Informer has just updated their list of 2023 releases.
Oh, let's look at it. Give me a link.
Yeah, I'm already on it, bud.
Thanks,
there
bro.
it is. Yeah.
Nice. These are quite a few.
Yeah,
I actually
it's really
saw a
well
video.
organized too.
I actually saw a video that was like the biggest disappointments of 2023 also so far. Right? You know what was on that list?
What?
Actually, can you think? No, 10 most disappointing games of 2023 so far.
Fire Emblem.
It is on that list. You're right.
Oh,
yeah.
good. Deserves it.
Yeah.
What else did we complain about this year? Oh, I know there's a big one. I'm missing it. What is it? Because you were so disappointed. Was Jedi Survivor on there?
It is. It's number 10.
Okay. There's another one that came out just around that. Was it? What is it?
I'll go ahead and give you a hint.
Uh-huh.
You are correct in thinking there's another one that came out just around it, and it's number 1.
It was like the week before. I'm trying to think.
It's number 1.
What is it? I know. Oh, I know. I can see it in my head. What is it? I know it. It's that game from the people. The people that make games. The Bethesda game.
Oh, no, it's not that. That's actually number, like, 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
Number 1 is something far... Well, actually, I guess it's number 2, because I forgot that number 1 is fucking trash. But number 2 is just disappointment. And number 3 is, I think, the Bethesda game.
Let me see. I can't even find the game that I'm thinking of. I know it's here. Hold on.
Oh, Redfall's actually number 4, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, that's the Bethesda game I was thinking of?
Oh, that's not it. That's number 4.
Okay. What's wrong there?
There was like a TV show or something. It has a sequel. It has a multiplayer mode that is disappeared from existence, and we don't know what happened to it.
Last
That
of
was
Us?
Yep, number 2 was Last of Us Part 1.
Oh, that's weird. I don't
Remember
even know if
I told you how bad the PC version was and how
No,
it was one
you
of the
did.
worst PC games that
I
have
just
been
think
created in like 10 years?
mentally, I just would not have us put that association on that list because I don't. It's just kind of like a remake of a remake of a remake of a remake.
So here's the reason why it's on that list. And actually, you know what? Maybe we could have the discussion on the actual podcast.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I think that this would actually be a discussion as well. A good discussion as well.
Okay.
All right. Today's just discussion episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go to that. We'll go to that. Let's start.
All right.